12 years. That's how long it took, sleeping through the void, to finally reach the edge of our solar system, the Kuiper Belt. Just moments ago, our message crackled back to Earth. We've arrived. Out here, silence reigns, and the sun is just another bright star. Our first task is to find a foothold, a place to build the first human outpost this far from home. We knew the cost when we signed up. We gave up birthdays, weddings, and holidays. We'll miss seeing our families grow old. But this is a chance to step where no human has ever been. It's a sacrifice we were willing to make for a dream that's bigger than all of us. The journey has just begun. The mission was a go. After years of tireless work and groundbreaking innovation, public approval was soaring. 12 of humanity's finest astronauts were chosen for the journey of a lifetime. On the day of the launch, a palpable excitement filled the air as they boarded the rocket, ready to write the next chapter of history. The launch was flawless, a powerful ascent pushing them beyond Earth's grasp, past the moon's gravitational pull. Their destination, Deep Space Explorer 1, waiting silently in the void. The trip took 3 days. Upon arrival, they were greeted by the moon base crew, whose critical task was to prepare them for the long haul. Over the next 24 hours, each astronaut was carefully placed into suspended animation. With the crew safely in stasis, the ship's AI was programmed for the next leg of the journey, a long, silent voyage to the distant Kuiper Belt. The astronauts are now entering suspended animation for their long journey ahead. With the human element secured, the moon crew is setting the ship's artificial intelligence. It's a surreal moment as they disembark from Explorer 1 and head back to the lunar surface. Establish a link with NASA from their destination. As this is the first real mission where an AI is in sole control, making its own judgments, the future of exploration is unfolding before us. Picture this. Explorer 1 is a year into its lonely voyage to the Kuiper Belt. Back on Earth, NASA starts launching a trail of supply rockets, like a cosmic breadcrumb trail, chasing the main ship. But as the years tick by, 10 and 11, the world's attention fades. People forget about the brave crew sleeping in deep space. After a grueling 12-year journey, Explorer 1 finally arrives. The AI system gently initiates the wake-up sequence for the crew. Once awake, they face their first task, a full health checkup. The results begin a weeks-long journey back to Earth for review. While they wait for the all-clear from NASA doctors, the pressure is on. They must immediately start surveying the chaotic asteroid field for a safe place to build their colony. If they don't find a spot fast, the incoming supply rockets could pile up, risking a catastrophic collision in the dark expanse of the Kuiper Belt. The Explorer 1 crew got straight to work. Their first task was to program automated probes, sending them out into the vast asteroid belt to find the perfect spot for a new colony. This was the long, tedious part of the mission. A full month, Earth Standard Time, ticked by with absolutely nothing. Nerves were starting to fray. The first supply rocket was already on its way. Only 4 months out, and they still didn't have a construction site. The probes just kept searching, only returning to recharge before heading back into the black. Then, after 2 agonizing months, a hit. One probe flagged a potential target on Eris, a dwarf planet much like Pluto. The team immediately sent 2 more probes to verify. The confirmations came back positive. A jolt of excitement surged through the crew. The commander didn't hesitate, making the call to investigate the target themselves. Could this be it? On the distant surface of Eris, our long-range scans picked up something incredible. A massive geological formation that looks just like an extinct volcanic chute. If our theory is correct, this natural structure could provide all the protection we need from the harsh radiation of deep space. It's the perfect spot for humanity's first off-world colony. With daylight fading on the Explorer 1, the commander didn't waste a second. The order was given. Prepare for a mission. First thing tomorrow, we're going in. We need eyes on the ground, and our geologists need samples. The next morning, the excitement was electric as the chosen exploration crew boarded the shuttle. After detaching from the mothership, it's a 30-minute burn to Eris. Once there, we'll perform several flybys to map the chute before we finally touch down and make our approach. This could change everything. All right, we've arrived. The initial flyby looks good, Commander. We think we can set her down. Permission granted, team. Proceed with the landing sequence. But be advised, once you're inside that chute, we'll likely lose direct comms with Explorer 1. I've got a solution for that, Commander. I'm patching our comms through Probe Alpha to boost the signal. If we need to, we can even send more probes down into the chute and daisy chain the signal all the way back up. Smart thinking. Let's do it. All right, team. Making our descent now. And there it is. We've lost signal, just as expected. Rerouting comes through Probe Alpha. Now, and we're back online. Loud and clear, team. What are you seeing down there? Commander, you are not going to believe this. The walls, they're covered in something that looks like glowing circuits. It's beautiful. The sheer scale of this place is incredible. We're inside a massive volcanic chute, and the ceiling height is just staggering. You could easily stack a 2-story colony in here with room to spare. After the shuttle touched down on the chute floor, our team disembarked, their excitement palpable. The geologists immediately got to work, examining the rock formations. Their verdict? It's granite, and this volcano has been dormant for millions, maybe even billions of years. This is it. This is a perfect site for our first off-world colony. The commander reviewed the data, confirmed their findings, and sent the proposal back to NASA for the official green light. In the meantime, we're not waiting around. We're prepping for the first supply rocket's arrival. The final week is always tense. Our pilot will take manual control of the rocket for the final approach, guiding it in for a precision docking. He decided to let I keep flying the rocket. He wouldn't take the controls until it was time to dock with Explorer 1. So for now, they'd just monitor the approach. The rest of the crew started getting ready, preparing to offload all the materials into the ship's huge storage bay as soon as the rocket arrived. Finally, the rocket was in range, and the pilot took command. This was the intense part. He carefully maneuvered the massive rocket towards a docking door. Everyone held their breath as he guided it into place, creating a hard seal connection before shutting down the maneuvering jets. The crew double-checked everything, making sure the seal was secure before anyone dared to enter the airlock. It was a flawless docking. The first crew has arrived, and the monumental task begins. They start by offloading the rocket, a treasure trove of rations and essential materials for the new colony. Once every crate is secured, the pilot skillfully detaches, maneuvering the ship away from Explorer 1. It's a temporary goodbye. Another rocket will follow in 6 months with fresh supplies. This relentless cycle of arrival, unloading, and departure continues for 6 long years. Piece by piece, the colony takes shape on the alien landscape. Finally, the moment of truth arrives. They seal the structure, pressurize the habitats, and take their first breaths inside their new home. Explorer 1 remains a watchful guardian in orbit as a new transport ship appears on the horizon, carrying more colonists to join the pioneers. For the original crew, the hardest part is over. Their mission is now to maintain this new world, a simple task for the architects of a dream. With a green light from command, we're finally pushing deeper into the chute than ever before. We've got 2 full days to explore. Most of the crew thinks it's a dead end, just more of the same. But you should see the geologists. They're practically bouncing off the walls, dreaming of discovering a new type of rock. We touched down, set up a quick camp near the shuttle, and then it was time. As we ventured further in, the sheer scale of the formations was just breathtaking. Our geologists were like kids in a candy store, darting from one massive structure to another, hoping for that one unique find. So far, though, it's all been granite, incredibly similar to what you'd find back on Earth. But we've only just started. As the first day on the surface drew to a close, the team made their way back to camp. Inside the pressurized dome they'd set up near the shuttle, they could finally shed their bulky suits and breathe easy. The evening's project? Assembling the small, battery-powered scooters they brought along. These little vehicles were their key to exploring deeper into the massive chute they'd discovered. After a quick dinner, the hum of assembly filled the dome as they prepped the scooters for the next day's expedition. They sent a quick update to the commander aboard Explorer 1, detailing their plan to push further into the unknown before their window to return closed. With everything set, they turned in for some much-needed rest. Before sunrise, a few dedicated astronauts were already up, skipping breakfast to get the scooter's mission ready, while the others grabbed a quick bite, eager to start the day's adventure. All right, the team suited up and headed out to meet up. They hopped on their scooters and ventured deep into the extinct volcanic chute. The goal for today was to push as far as possible, to really gauge the potential for expanding the colony base. For a solid 30 minutes, they cruised along, and the ceiling stayed consistently high, so high you could easily fit a 2-story complex in there. Suddenly, they came across a massive dome inside the chute, at least 5 stories high. They snapped some pictures and pressed on, venturing deeper. That's when they found another dome. But this one was different. It didn't look natural at all. The walls and ceiling were perfectly smooth, not rough like a natural rock formation. It was clear someone, or something, had built this. The mystery just got a whole lot deeper. As they scanned the cavern walls, something caught their eye. There, embedded in the rock, was an object almost completely hidden by rubble. Curiosity took over. Carefully, they began clearing away the debris, stone by stone. What they uncovered left them speechless. It was a large, smooth stone tablet, covered in intricate symbols unlike anything they'd ever seen. The air grew thick with confusion and excitement. They quickly documented everything, snapping photos and recording video, then radioed their findings back to Explorer 1. The commander's orders came back swift and clear. Evacuate immediately. This discovery was too big. NASA had to be notified. Acknowledging the command, they rushed back to break down their camp. It took a couple of grueling hours to pack everything onto the shuttle, their minds racing with the implications of what they had just found. Then it was time to leave. Once they made it back up to Explorer 1, things got real tense, real fast. The commander and another scientist were already glued to the monitors, staring at the images of that strange object. They'd already sent a copy hurtling through space back to NASA, but who knew how long that would take? The commander was on edge. They had just started building the colony in this spot, a place they thought was perfect. Another rocket was on its way with more supplies and people. Waiting for NASA wasn't an option. The crew gathered, everyone throwing out theories. Was it a natural formation? An alien artifact? Just a weird trick of the light? No one had a clue. They kept replaying the footage, zooming in, trying to find some detail they missed. Then, they decided to run the images through the computer's historical database, cross-referencing it with symbols from every ancient civilization on Earth. Maybe, just maybe, someone had seen this thing before. The computer analysis was going to take hours. So while we waited, it was business as usual. We went back to our daily tasks, maintaining the ship, running diagnostics, trying to keep our minds off the monumental discovery sitting in our databanks. Finally, the analysis was complete. The crew gathered in the briefing room, a tense silence hanging in the air. The results flashed on the main screen, inconclusive. A collective sigh of frustration filled the room. The commander looked at each of us, her expression unreadable. "Opinions?" she asked. A few voices mumbled aliens, The obvious but unsettling answer. Then, one crew member suggested something radical. Another human civilization. The idea was immediately dismissed. We were taught we were the only ones. But he made a brilliant point. Earth is billions of years old. Any evidence of a prior civilization would have been erased by time and tectonic shifts. But up here, on a geologically stable world, the evidence would be preserved, perfectly, for ages. The meeting about a possible other civilization on this planet ended so suddenly. The commander just stood up and said he needed to think. Plain and simple. He told us all to get back to work, to just wait for NASA to give us the next move. But days started to crawl by, and we heard nothing. Absolute radio silence from Houston. You could see the worry etching itself onto the commander's face. That supply rocket isn't slowing down. It's getting closer every single day, and we need a place to put everything it's bringing. Finally, he made a call. We're continuing construction right here, inside this massive chute we discovered. He's hoping, praying, that it's the right choice. Because if NASA decides to pull the plug on this location, I don't know what we're going to do. We'd be stranded with a mountain of supplies we can't even use. Days of searching turned up nothing. Probes sent to scour Eris, and the rest of the belt came back empty. Every potential new site was a dead end. To make matters worse, the reply from NASA finally came through, and it was the answer they dreaded most. We don't know. They had no explanation for the mysterious object they had discovered. Time was a luxury they didn't have. With a heavy heart, the commander made the call. He gathered the crew in the command module, the tension thick enough to cut with a laser scalpel. He announced the decision. They were staying put. They would build the colony right here, right now. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, a silent wave of concern passing between them. But they were professionals. They nodded in agreement. The next supply rocket was only a few months out, and Phase 1 of the colony had to be completed before it arrived. It was time to get to work. All right, with everyone on board, construction pushed forward. But that strange object in the cavern wall, the commander couldn't let it go. He gave the green light to keep building, but also to keep investigating. About a month later, Phase 1 was a wrap. They had another month of downtime before the next supply rocket arrived with everything for Phase 2. This was their chance. With the commander's official approval, they headed back to the cavern. By now, the construction chute was fully operational. They could pressurize it to Earth-like atmosphere and even heat the place up. That meant they could finally take their gloves off without their hands turning into ice blocks. This made a huge difference. Now they could get up close and personal, carefully tracing the intricate symbols on the mysterious object, trying to unlock its secrets. What they would find was anyone's guess. George approached the object, his eyes wide with a mix of awe and curiosity. He stared at it, completely mesmerized. Against all protocol, against all reason, he reached out a gloved hand. The crew saw it happening in slow motion. Shouts of, "George, no," and "Don't touch it," echoed in their helmets, but it was too late. The moment his fingertip made contact, his body went rigid. He was locked in place, catatonic, before convulsing violently in a seizure that threw him backward. One of his crewmates lunged forward, grabbing the collar of his suit and yanking him away. His hand broke free from the object, and he collapsed, lifeless, but still breathing, unconscious. Panic set in as they frantically radioed the commander. "We have a man down. I repeat, a man is down. We need to get back to the shuttle now." Their mission had just turned into a desperate race for survival. They had to get him to the med bay, fast. That's where the real gear was: sophisticated scanners, AI-assisted diagnostics, everything needed for a proper diagnosis and treatment. Without a second thought, everyone scrambled into the shuttle. As it lifted off, the ground falling away beneath them, They were already racing back toward Explorer 1. The commander was on it, prepping the med bay for their imminent arrival. He then bolted to the docking door, just as the shuttle made a hard, shuddering connection with the station. They moved him through the airlocks, a desperate procession heading straight for the med bay. They carefully stripped off the heavy spacesuit and eased him into the scanner. The rest of the crew headed back to the gear room to shed their own suits before returning, their hearts pounding in their chests. Seeing George awake and looking around sent a chill through the entire crew. Just moments ago, he was convulsing, completely unconscious. Now he's alert, his eyes darting around the med bay as if nothing happened. The AI scans came back clean, inconclusive. Medically, there was absolutely nothing wrong with him. The commander, taking no chances, ordered George to stay put for a few days of observation. Meanwhile, he called the rest of us for an urgent meeting in the dining area. He needed to know exactly what went down on that planet. One by one, we recounted our tasks, our positions, and what we saw the instant George made contact with that strange object. Each of us shared our perspective, our own fragmented version of the bizarre events that unfolded. We all saw it happen, but none of us could truly explain it. The commander faced an impossible choice: rebury the mysterious object and condemn it to eternal silence, or declare it a find worthy of study, risking everything. He agonized over the decision, the fate of the mission resting on his shoulders. Finally, he knew what he had to do. He would see it with his own eyes. He suited up, the sterile hum of the life support a stark contrast to the turmoil in his mind. Then he was gone. A sudden, jarring alert echoed through Explorer 1. Shuttle detached. The crew scrambled to the bridge, only to find the command chair empty. A frantic call to the shuttle was met with the commander's calm, resolute voice. He was going to the surface to investigate the object himself. They pleaded with him to wait, to let them join him, but his mind was made up. He denied their request as he began his descent, piloting the small craft towards the volcanic chute and the future of humanity. Finally reaching the colony site, the commander could breathe. He detached his helmet and gloves, grabbing the nearest scooter. He zipped down the chute toward the object's location. Inside the primary dome, he saw it, the object. It wasn't what they'd thought. He radioed back to the crew, his voice steady. "Did anyone ever open this thing?" The reply was a negative. They thought it was just a solid tablet, a relic. "No," the commander corrected them, his gaze fixed on the seam he'd spotted. "It's a doorway, and there's something on the other side." He sealed his helmet and gloves back on, the click echoing in the silence. Slowly, cautiously, he pushed it open and stepped through. He found himself in another, smaller dome. In the center, a swirling mass of pure energy pulsed with an eerie blue light, crackling with electrical surges. He took a hesitant step forward, deeper into the unknown. As the commander cautiously approached the object, it seemed to pulse with an energy that reacted to his very presence. Was it hostile? Was it a greeting? He couldn't tell. Into his helmet mic, he reported his findings, a running log for the crew, or perhaps a final testament if things went south. Suddenly, a voice echoed not in his ears, but in his mind. "Who are you?" he transmitted, his heart pounding. "I am an emissary," the voice replied, calm and ancient. "An emissary? What is that?" the commander asked, bewildered. "We are cybernetic life forces," it explained, "sent here in a desperate act. Our civilization is in a battle for its very existence. We created portals, sending life forces through the cosmos, searching for allies, for refuge." The commander stared at the shimmering form. "So why are you here?" "I have been here alone for a very, very long time." The starship landed silently, a marvel of engineering beyond anything humanity had ever conceived. When the commander finally met the emissary, he asked the simple question on everyone's mind. "Where are you from?" For centuries, our home has been ravaged by civil war, and now we must find a new one. The emissary's gaze drifted across the barren landscape. We hope this world is compatible, and that its inhabitants, if any, will welcome us. We are a simple people, he said cautiously. I'm not sure if Earth would be suitable. The emissary corrected him. This planet is perfect. Now we just need to transport our people. The commander held up a hand. A strange look crossed the emissary's face. That is the size of our homeworld. I had to get back to the ship and tell them what I'd found. Leaving the object behind, I sprinted back towards the shuttle. As I ran, my cum crackled to life. It was the crew. They were desperate to know what happened, firing off question after question. I cut them short. I'll explain everything when I get back. Just prep for immediate departure. I scrambled into the shuttle and blasted off, racing back towards Explorer 1. After docking, the airlock hissed open, and the entire crew was there waiting for me. The questions started all over again. I held up a hand to quiet them. Everyone, calm down. Meet me in the dining room in 5. I'll tell you everything. I quickly shucked off my suit in the gear room and headed straight there. They were all waiting, their faces a mix of fear and curiosity. Okay, I began. I think when George touched that door, he activated something. Through his helmet cam, he recorded everything, the device itself, and the unbelievable conversation he had with the entity. Back with the crew, everyone listened in, completely awestruck by what was discussed. The commander knew what he had to do. I have to contact NASA, he announced, heading straight for the bridge to send the message. Suddenly, the ship's AI cut through their chatter, shuttle detaching from Explorer 1. Just as he did, the rest of the crew flooded onto the bridge, all demanding to know what was happening. Just as we were about to celebrate, we found George had snuck onto a shuttle. He undocked and was heading straight back to Eris. Sarah immediately got on the comms, frantically calling him. George, what are you doing? Respond. At first, there was just silence. Then his voice, oddly calm, came through. I have to connect with the emissary. We all tried to reason with him, to tell him it was too dangerous, but he wouldn't listen. He just kept going. We scrambled for the other shuttle, a mad dash to prep and detach from Explorer 1. By the time we were in pursuit, George had a huge head start. When we finally reached the colony site, he was already deep inside the volcanic chute, descending toward that unknown signal. We had no choice. We rushed through the deserted station, grabbed the scooters, and plunged into the darkness after him. As the crew burst into the chamber, they stopped dead in their tracks. It was George. He was suspended mid-air, held aloft by crackling bolts of pure energy arcing from the strange emissary device. Horror and awe washed over their faces. The commander, her voice trembling slightly, stepped forward. George, are you still in there? Are you with us? Suddenly, a voice boomed through the room, layered and immense, echoing with an inhuman power. It was George's voice, but amplified, transformed. I am here, and I am more. The crew flinched back, a wave of panic rippling through them. The commander steadied herself. George, why? Why did you do this? The amplified voice responded, Humanity needed a bridge. I am that bridge. I will be the link between our worlds. Stunned silence filled the room. The commander could only think one thing. How in the world was she going to explain this to NASA? Oh, hi NASA? Yeah, one of our crew just became a human alien USB stick, and my career as an astronaut, totally over. The commander raced back to Explorer 1, desperate to send a message to Mission Control. But when he got there, a message was already waiting for them. The official order from NASA: stay away from the alien object until further notice. The commander just rolled his eyes. He muttered, well, that's just common sense. but common sense seemed to have left the building a while ago. Taking a deep, shaky breath, he sent a new message, explaining the impossible situation they were in. A crew member was now part of the alien tech. Now, adrift in the silent void, the commander had no idea what to do next, or where in the universe they could possibly go from here. Panic set in as we realized what was happening. George had snuck onto a shuttle, detached from Explorer 1, and was heading back to Eris. I scrambled to the comms panel, my heart pounding. "George, what are you doing? Come in." Silence. Then his voice, distant and strange, crackled through the speaker. "I have to connect with the emissary." We tried everything to stop him, pleading, ordering him to turn back, but he was gone. A man on a mission. We had no choice. We rushed to the other shuttle, our movements frantic but precise. After a hurried prep, we detached and burned hard for the colony site. But George had a massive head start. By the time we landed, he was already deep inside the volcanic chute, descending toward the emissary. We grabbed the scooters from the station, the engines whirring to life as we raced down to the site, desperate to catch him. Phantom static, where the phantoms speak through the static.